What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hate to say it, but I've made a little bit of progress without you. Unintentionally, I had recorded everything for the video, but some of the videos, the audio was really messed up on a majority of the videos. Kind of like you saw in the last one. Tail end of that video, I had a little bit of audio issues, but it was a little amount to the point where I could still work with the video. These videos were a little bit worse, so I made a little bit of progress without you, but it's not much. You didn't miss anything exciting. I'll catch you guys up to speed. So as you can see, my valve covers are back on. That entails that my chain tensioner gaskets are now done. Basically, I got all that taken care of up top. It was a little bit of a situation. In theory, I should have been able to remove the cams, set them down, replace the gaskets, and then put them back in the head. But in the middle of putting this side back in, the chain tensioner just decided to leave chat. It just fell out of the assembly. And at that point, I'd lost time on my cams. And that turned into a whole ordeal. I spent like 4 hours trying to get them back in timing to be put back in the head, overthinking it and all that stuff. I got this side all buttoned up, and when I went to the passenger side to install those, I noticed the guide was cracked on the tensioner. So at that point, it's like, I'm not gonna just replace one, I'll replace two. So I took this side back apart and I ordered me some replacement tensioners, these BAT mix off of FCP. It was around like just short of $500. But at the end of the day, good I found it at that point in time. So I guess moving forward, we got to tackle everything on the front. So today I'm gonna mask everything off, that it seems like it would matter to me. Just tape some stuff up that I don't want water getting into. Cover, stuff some rags in the water pump area so I don't get, like the degreaser and stuff up in there. And basically just clean this motor up so I can get ready to install everything. I had to order a new crank bolt because I did not know those were torque to yield. When I remove that, you can't put it back in. So got another one of those on the way from FCP. That should be here about Thursday, but until then, we're going to clean up the motor and then maybe tackle some of the timing stuff that doesn't include the crank bolt. I still have to do the crank seal that's in there. This thing was leaking terribly. But yeah, so right now I'm going to start kind of getting the motor ready to be washed, degrease it and whatnot. The bay is getting handled at some point. The bay needs to get clean. Like, it's just so bad. I got new axles. Don't worry about that. But it's just so bad. I wonder what this is due. Anyways, that's the plan for today. I'll stop talking and we'll just dive right into it. I think that's it. I mean, it's gonna be out long enough to the point where like most of the water is just gonna evaporate anyways. You feel me? But I just better safe than sorry. So I think it's good. So we'll get to like degreasing and all that good stuff now. So it didn't do a terrible job, but I don't know. I'm on better. So I'm gonna go get some oven cleaner here in a little bit and try and do some more. So I didn't record the process it took to get to this point, and that's only because I was losing out on daytime. I did go and get some oven cleaner, which is what really made this all work. The Purple Power was not doing it. I still got some, like some little bit of crud here and there and whatnot, but overall it's 10 times better than where it was. I did go ahead and install the thermostat with thermostat housing and the water pump. All this torque down to 7 foot-pounds, which is the factory torque spec. And really, past this, it's just like 3 other bits with the crank bolt, the crank gear, and the cam gears. And then the timing's done. So past that, I still have a bunch to do. I got the injectors to replace. The spider hose is off, thankfully, so I can go ahead and throw that on there whenever I do decide to. I have to replace the return and feed lines, all that good stuff. So moving forward, that's going to be the plan. Until the crank bolt gets here, I'm kind of going to hold off on the rest of the timing. But that's where we're headed next. Injectors. I still have the pump in the car to do. I got to do that. That's got to be a thing. I've been contemplating possibly throwing my lowering springs on. I've had these for a while, since like my first set of replacement turbos. I just never threw them on because the car currently sits on 20mm spacers, which when I got my tires replaced, the dealership said was required to run the peelers. But after talking a little bit in the community, I could definitely get away with way smaller of a spacer. So I'm going to do that and then throw the lowering springs on after all this mumbo jumbo's dealt with. So I'm going to just get cranking on whatever I can, and we'll go from there. All right, so fast forward a couple days. Things got a little busy, so I wasn't able to work on it. Today, I'm going to be trying to get the fuel rail off so I can get the injectors in. I got 865s going in for the E85. It looks like it's just bolts on all 4 corners, and then I think everything else is already disconnected just because of all the previous stuff I've been doing. So I'm going to work on that, get the injectors in, possibly tackle the pump. I know I can throw my spider hose on. I have Mamba feed and return lines, so these guys are going to go away. And so we're just going to kind of chip away at some of the smaller stuff that there is to do. It says that my crank bolt should be here tomorrow, so in theory I should be able to tie up the rest of the timing and then give the crank a good spin, full rotation, to make sure I'm not making any contact. If that's the case, then I'll have done the timing correctly, in theory. But yeah, let's start getting these injectors in. So fuel rail is out. I'm gonna start knocking out the injectors. They're just held in by these clips here, and then my new injectors came with them, but also got to put these on. So just gonna start knocking that out real quick. All right, so new injectors are in, old ones are out. Now I just got to put the new injectors and the rail back on, which super easy from how it was taking it out. So fuel injectors are installed. Fuel rail is back on. I was gonna go ahead and install the feed and return line kit I got from Mamba, but like I already got one of them on the returns. But I got my crank bolt in the mail, so I'm gonna try and finish up the rest of the front stuff, the timing belt, the covers, the seal, and all the rest of the stuff to finish this whole mumbo jumbo stuff, and then I'll move on to the rest. My transmission is done. So I can go ahead and pick that up next week. I'm gonna go grab that, and then once I have that, it's just a bunch of random miscellaneous stuff to get this thing running. So go ahead and get to it. So got the new crank seal in. We're just gonna take the gear for the crank, and it's only gonna go back on one way, like that. And then we'll take our new bolt, spin that in there. And there is 2 steps to torquing this down. First step, we're going to torque it down to 147 foot-pounds. And then, essentially, after it's at 147, it spins one more rotation, 180, like 180. So essentially, we'll just mark right here. And then once that mark floats over to this other side, that'll be basically 180. So we'll go ahead and get that torque down, and we can slap the rest of the small stuff back on and get the belt on. Alright, so as you can see, maybe, yep, we got this white line here that started over here. And, I mean, mind you, the motor's like tilted because of the stand, but approximately we've made the 180 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the timing stuff on, cam gears and stuff, and then we can start feeding the belt back through. Make sure we got our timing right. So with the cam gears, just like when we took the assembly off, we're gonna only hand tighten these bolts for the cam gears to where these can still move freely. And yeah, we'll move on to the next piece. All right, so moving on, we have the idler roller. So that's gonna go right there. Got this kit from ET Spec. It's their level 3 kit. It comes with the Schaeffler timing belt kit. I hope I pronounced that right. All new hardware and stuff included. So this will be the belt for the roller, and then this is for this tensioner right here, and then this guy comes with its own bolt as well. So go ahead and get that torque down to 40 foot-pounds. Next, we're going to put on the tensioner right here, and make sure to keep the pin, and you don't want to release this yet. But this is going to get torqued down to 10 foot-pounds. So I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. Just got the rest of the timing roller stuff put on. This is torqued down to 20 foot-pounds. This guy's torqued down to 15, and then like I mentioned, this is 10. And as you can see, when I move the pivot arm, it puts more tension on the roller there. So when I pull this pin and it shoots up, it should put the tension that I need to. But we're not going to do that until we get the belt on. So we'll work on doing that now. All right, so I was going back and forth trying to reference video while putting this on, so I didn't record it. But essentially, oops, excuse me. You're just going to start around the crank. Make sure it's fully engaged around the crank. You'll go up over this roller, go over your driver's side cam gear, underneath this gear directly underneath the power steering, this roller underneath the power steering pump, over the driver's side, passenger side, and then once you're over the passenger side, you just kind of pull from here and put it over this tensioning roller right here. Now we're going to torque down the bolts for the cam gears. Those will get torqued down to 41 foot-pounds. So now that those are all timed up, we can pull the cam tool off if it wants to come off. All right. And then we need to pull this guy out. To make it easier, you can get, I believe it's a 5 or 6 millimeter hex, and turn this, take a little bit of tension off so you can just pull this pin out. And then You're supposed to turn this tensioner roller a little bit counterclockwise. From what I'm hearing, it's like 11 foot-pounds, just to pre-tension the belt for first startup. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, remove the crank pin, and then it's a moment of truth. We're gonna spin the crank twice over 2 rotations, and if the crank pin goes back in and the cam lock bars all time up correctly, then I did my timing correctly. Okay, 11 foot-pounds, belt is pre-tensioned, so I'm gonna remove the crank pin and we can spin the crank. See if I did my job right. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty nerve-wracking for me. It's the first time I've done timing on anything. I'm a little nervous, so we're gonna spin the crank, 2 full rotations, make sure the crank pin, lock pin can go back in. And if that happens, then I've done it right. So, moment of truth. Let's go! Got it right. So, the reason why I stopped for a moment and tried to spin it in, I thought I was a full 2 rotations, but I hadn't made it yet. I just spun it the full 2 rotations, and as you can see, crank lock is in. Can't move the crank anymore. I got the timing right. Let's go! Had to do a little victory dance, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, now that that is set, I'm gonna leave it on a good note. We're gonna finish the video off here. Next video, this upcoming Saturday, I should be installing my fuel pump, finishing off the feed and return lines. I can put the spider hose on. And then after that, installation of the turbos, wideband gauge, clutch, trans. I'm still waiting on the wiring harness to get back from the wiring guy. I managed to grab a spare harness from Jacob Parker up in Denver. He's got a nasty single turbo S4 laser. It's got painted red carbon all over it. I think it's insane. He hooked me up with a harness. We're gonna essentially use 2 to make 1 good harness. Probably gonna use his as a builder because mine was trashed. So once that's done, that's the last piece I'm waiting on. I can throw this thing back together. That being said, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And as always, make sure to like, subscribe to your boy. I appreciate the support. In such a short amount of time, you guys have shown me a lot of love, and I really do appreciate that. It definitely does help as far as motivation is concerned on this thing. Kind of, in a weird way, it makes it feel like I'm not wrenching on it alone when I'm recording for you guys. So that's super, super appreciated. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Tune in next time, and we'll see you then.